Good morning, everyone. This is Chris coming to you with another video. So if you've seen any of my other videos, I usually begin by saying something about my purpose for doing these videos. I'd like to highlight both manual transmission vehicles and wagons. That's going to be my primary focus. I may do a video or two or something else that's different or special. But today we have the combination of the two. We're going to be looking at this 2003 Volkswagen Passat station wagon. This wagon is also a manual transmission. So we have both. We have a wagon and a manual. This is actually the first one that I've done that is both wagon and manual. I will have others though. So this one came about a little over a year ago, but see, there was a problem with a shipper. The shipper that bought it, there was a small amount of damage, so it kind of sat waiting for that to get resolved. Finally got resolved, and now it's at a point where we'll be trying to figure out what we're going to do with this. This rear quarter panel, when it was first received, was a different color, and the gas door was off of it. That has been repaired and painted. As a matter of fact, the gas door is back here on the floor, the old one. You can also notice that this car is lowered. I have absolutely no idea if it's coilovers, lowering springs. I don't know. I'm not into lowered cars, but for those people who are, I guess this would be attractive. You see that the hood is up right there, and I might as well go ahead and talk about that now, because on Volkswagens, when you release the hood on this version of Volkswagen, this is a B5.5 platform for the Passat. I believe this model range ran from 97 to 05-ish. But when you pop the hood inside, there's a little black, little plastic thing that comes out with a little arrow on it. You pull it, and then you lift the hood. Well, that is obviously broken. Someone has put this zip tie here, and that's how you have to release the hood. Now, because I'm doing a video, it's probably not going to work very well, but oh, there we go. All right, so this is the V6 version of the Passat 2.8 liter 30 valve V6. Good for, I think, around 185, 87 horsepower, somewhere around there. Most of these came with the 1.8 turbo. Some came with the 2.0 naturally aspirated. This one does have the V6. So I've mentioned the V6, and I'm sorry, it's dirty. It's not, does not look great under here, but as I've mentioned in previous videos, I don't spit shine these cars before I do videos of them. I show them exactly how they are. I'll go ahead and leave that up for the startup. But I actually had a B5 wagon. I believe mine was a 2000, so this was before the facelift. If I can find a picture of it, I will go ahead and insert it here. But it was my first wagon. It was a manual, of course, 1.8 turbo version of the wagon. This was pre-facelift, so the older wagons did not have, they still had old composite headlights. These are more slanted, more updated. This also has chrome trim on it. The tail lights are a little bit different. And I think Volkswagen did GL, GLS, and GLX trim levels. I'm going to say that this one is the GLX top trim level, and I'm going to say that because it has a sunroof. It also has, even though it's missing right here, it has chrome trim. The chrome trim that goes right here is there. You'll notice the shift knob has chrome trim surround on the radio. This has heated seats. I mentioned the sunroof earlier, and it has power memory seats. So and of course leather interior. So I'm going to assume that this is the top model GLX, but I'm sure somebody can correct me if that's not accurate. All right, so this one has a few little dings and dents, little ding there. There's some holes here from where they probably attached something. This may have been like the crossbars that people put on wagons. I know I usually have them on mine. Some sort of aftermarket wheel that's in need of some refurbishing. And the trunk, or the hatch in this case, opens with a little button on the door, as does the gas door, but neither one of those seem to be working properly. So I'm not sure what that is. I did quickly look it up, and it said if the windows and seats are working, then it's not a fuse. So there's something else. There's some fuses back here. That cover is not securely tightened right now. Let me take this key out. Also, for a big guy, these lowered cars are for the birds. I do not enjoy them, but this is going to get a pretty big guy score because of the amount of space that's in this car. You notice the glove box is a little off. There's a screw missing. Have not replaced that yet. Didn't even pay attention. Let's see. All right, so the rear view mirror that should be there is in here. It does not appear as though there's an owner's manual. You know, I don't like that. Only one key. Heated seats, as I mentioned before. Looks like someone has put an aftermarket radio in here. Power seats. And right now the air conditioning is not working. So when I go for a drive, it won't be the most fun thing in the world, but we'll live. If the factory radio was still in here, then it has steering wheel controls for all of that, the radio and for the cruise control. When they did the B5.5 version, it also updated the dash. The other one looked a little more antiquated than this one does. Sunroof, there are a couple of small issues here and there. Headliner is actually in pretty decent shape. I haven't looked to see if there's some kind of way to open that hatch in the back from inside. Maybe there is. A couple of cracks in the dash here. Cup holders, and then we have our, oops, sorry about that, normal storage compartment, which is not that large. So the Passat shared a platform with the Audi A4. Some people may not be aware that Audi and Volkswagen are essentially the same thing. I remember I had an Audi A8 years ago, and I went under the hood and I just saw a bunch of Volkswagen parts. And here I am thinking I'm buying something premium, which the Audi is alleged to be the premium version, but it's all Volkswagen, just like Honda, Acura, Nissan, Infiniti, and Lexus, Toyota. All right, so that is about all I have to say about the outside of this. I'm going to go ahead and close this hood. We'll get in and take it for a little spin. Hopefully you'll be able to hear me because I'm going to have to put the windows down so I'm not suffocating in the heat. It is early morning in July in Virginia, but it's still very warm. So I'll be right back for a quick drive. All right, so as usual, I forget to do something and I have to edit these videos together, but you guys know I'm not a professional at this. I'm learning as I go. Didn't open all the doors so you could see the inside of the car a little bit more. There's definitely some wear on the shift boot, lots of wear on the driver's seat, not nearly as much on the passenger seat. This does not have any floor mats. Back seat looks pretty decent. The old gas filler door and gas cap that I mentioned earlier back there. And I wish I could get back, open the hatch, but this is the rear. Nice factory Volkswagen mat back there. I'd like to look up underneath it to make sure there's no water intrusion or anything, but can't open that, and I'm not going to get my large hind parts back there to try to do it. These seats do go down. I haven't done it. Trying, there we go. So seats do go down to give you more access, more cargo room. And I guess that's about it. And the rest of the stuff is in pretty decent shape. Anyone who has or has had one of these model Volkswagens knows that one of the weak points is the power window, power lock switches. Those things can be very, very temperamental. It's no different on this vehicle. All of them work, but they can act silly sometimes. I have a MK4 2003 ALH TDI Golf that I will be doing a video on at some point. So I'm not a stranger to Volkswagen. As I mentioned in a previous video, I also had a VR6 MK4 Golf, which is one of the most fun cars I've ever driven, just because I wasn't expecting it to be as potent as it was. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and go for a drive. Be right back. All right, so I had actually recorded the video with the windows down while I took a little test drive. Went back and looked at it, and you could not hear a thing, even with the microphone on. So I am going to do a little bit of talking now, then we'll go for a quick drive with the windows up so I don't suffocate, especially since the sun has now come out and it's even warmer. So first things first, big guy score. I'm going to give this one a good 8.5. There is a ton of space in this Passat, especially for a guy that's 6'5" and north of 275. I could even move the seat up some if I needed to give, a rear passenger a little bit more leg room. I mean, it's just a ton of space. Very, very comfortable. The seats are comfortable. Just a nice vehicle for a larger guy. Very different than many of the Toyotas and Hondas that I've been in. Just a lot of space. I remember when I went and picked up my B5 Passat wagon, I have never driven one, and I was surprised and impressed by the amount of space that was in it. So I am going to go ahead and fire this thing up and go for a quick drive. On the other video, I kept hearing some weird noise. I thought I'd run over something, but turns out it was the radio. The radio wasn't on a station, so it was static coming from the radio. So I'm just going to turn that thing down, and we'll go ahead and go for a quick drive, start this thing up. And now, one thing that I have noticed since I've been driving that, and that beep that you just heard was telling me that the luggage compartment is open, even though it is closed. Again, I guess it's some sort of sensor or something. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. But when you accelerate heavily, the little like a traction control light will start flashing. And that light is tied to this button, ESP. I'm not exactly sure what ESP stands for. By the time I edit this video, hopefully I'll type it in there. But it has something to do with the traction control. So I've just gotten to the point where I've started turning it off before I go anywhere. The other thing about these lowered vehicles that I just really cannot stand is that you have to be so ridiculously cautious, entering and exiting driveways. And you really need to go out at an angle to make sure you don't scrape it. This is for young people. I don't have time for this. I just want to drive. But all right, we're out unscathed. So that was a terrible shift. Sorry about that. The V6 version of this thing is again, I don't want to call it fast or potent, but if you've driven a 1.8 stock 1.8T, I'm not talking about somebody who's done tuning and all of that. It feels good. I am on record that I think that forced injection is lovely. Turbos and superchargers and everything that we have nowadays, but just give me a naturally aspirated vehicle, and I'm a happy camper. I mentioned in one of my other videos about the VR6 MK4 GTI that I had, and that was just a surprise because I was not expecting it to be that fun. Like I said, we're not going to go far. The thing doesn't have current tags on it either. All right. So yeah, acceleration is nice. Clutch grab's good. There's no grinding of the gears. I like the shifter. It's short. I'm not talking about the throws. I'm just talking about the actual. Okay. Saw a little dip there. Again, these lowered cars, you get concerned. But back to the shifter, I mean, it just has a nice smooth feel, nice smooth feel, regular 5 speed. I mean, the throws are not super long, especially like the Camry. The Camry has super long throws. Just a good feeling car. No check engine lights are on. Decent power, plenty of space to throw some stuff in the back. And there we go. All right, so the traction control light just came on, and when that happens, it kind of cuts out power briefly, because I believe the car feels like something's going on with the like some sort of slippage or whatever. So I'll just turn that off so that way it doesn't happen again, and I can go on about my way. Even with the car being lowered, I don't hear a bunch of strange noises and pops and cracks and creaks and all of that good stuff. I mean, it's just a good solid little vehicle. So once we finish doing a couple more things to it, I'm sure this one will be for sale. It's always my intent to try to sell these manual cars or wagons at a very affordable price, for those people who are still interested in manual transmissions and wagons. Not trying to get rich out here, just trying to highlight some vehicles and then get them on to the next owner. So appreciate your time. I'm going to pull back into this driveway, and I guess I'll go ahead and record myself pulling in to see if hopefully I don't scrape anything and embarrass myself. But that's the nature of these lowered vehicles. You have to go in at all of these weird angles so that you don't risk scraping anything. So there we go. We made it in unscathed. All right. Well, appreciate y'all watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Take it easy.